Ben,
How's it going?
Baruch Hashem. Did you hear the news?
What news?
The news out of Lebanon?
I did hear there was some communication malfunction.
Yes, a communication malfunction. Correct. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we probably won't talk too much about that, but
Yeah.
interesting stuff.
Yep. Give me a second to figure out what's going on with my setup over here. Just a sec.
I am giving you a second. While you do that, I will mention the note at top here. The Alter Rebbe wrote this letter of condolence to his Chassidim in 1788 after the passing of his colleague and mentor, the saintly Rabbi Mendele of Vitebsk, or Horok, who had settled in the Holy Land in 1777. It concludes by arousing them to the mitzvah of tzedakah in general, and particularly of maintaining the family of Reb Mendel. The Alter Rebbe is here addressing Chassidim, who in the past had benefited from their connection with the tzaddik, both through his advice and blessings on material matters, and through his guidance in matters of the spirit. He comforts them, therefore, with the teachings of the Zohar that a tzaddik is to be found in this world after his passing to a greater extent than while he was physically alive. His disciples are thus able to receive his guidance in their Torah study and divine service to an even greater degree than before. Materially, too, the tzaddik protects this world after his passing even more effectively than he did during his lifetime.
So that was a note at the beginning?
That was a note at the beginning of Epistle 27.
Okay.
Is your setup working?
Not really.
What's wrong with your setup?
I have no idea what's going on. My standing desk might be dead. I don't know.
Your standing desk may be dead. I seriously intended on using my standing desk. It's not even plugged in.
Do you want to ship it over?
It would probably be cheaper to buy a new standing desk.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, unfortunately. Okay. My voice is leaving me, so I'm going to make you read.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. So, 27. מה שכתב ליושבי ארץ הקודש, תיבנה ותכונן במהרה בימינו אמן. This letter was written by the Alter Rebbe to the Hasidic inhabitants of the Holy Land. May it be speedily be rebuilt and reestablished in our own days. Amen. לנחם בכפליים לתושייה, to console them with redoubled support. על פטירת הרב הגאון המפורסם, איש אלוקים קדוש, נר ישראל, העמוד הימני פטיש החזק, מורנו הרב ורבנו רבי מנחם מנדל, נשמתו עדן. Of the passing of the celebrated Rebbe and Gaon, holy men of God, lamp of Israel, pillar of the right hand, mighty hammer, our mentor, Rabbi Menachem Mendel, may his soul rest in Eden. אהוביי, אחיי ורעיי אשר כנפשי וכולי. My beloved, my brethren and friends who are as dear and forth to me as my soul. Hashem aleim yechiu chaim ad haolam. May the name of God be upon you and may you live forever. וצאצאיהם איתם זרע אמת, and your children with you the seed of truth. ברוכי השם המה מעתה ועד עולם. May you be blessed by God forevermore. אחרי דרישת שלומם כמשפט, לאוהבי שמו, Having first duly inquired after the welfare of those who love God's name, באתי לדבר על לב נתקעים, הנאנחים והנאנקים, ולנחמם בכפליים לתושייה. I've come to speak to the heart of the smitten who are sighing and groaning over the passing of Rabbi Mendel, and to console you with redoubled support. אשר שמעה אוזני ותבן לה, with what my ear has heard from others and with what I have understood myself. על מאמר רבותינו זיכרונם לברכה, דשווק חיים לכל חי. Regarding the idiom used by our sages, to signify the passing of a tzaddik, he has left life for all the living.
Yep. So that's one way in which Chazal refer to somebody who has passed away as Shavak Chaim Lechol Chai. He left life to all the living.
Ki tzaddik be'emunato yichyeh. For a tzaddik lives by his faith. Ubirat Hashem l'chaim. And by the awe of God which leads to life. Uberishvei esh shalhevet ahavato michaim. And by the flashing and fiery sparks of his love for God that is even greater than love. Lekol behen chaye rucho unishmato kol yamei chaldo. Investing in them the life of his ruach and his neshama throughout his life. He ba'alot Hashem rucho, when at the time of his passing, God elevates his ruach, v'nishmato elav yasov, and gathers up his soul unto himself. V'yale be'ilui acher ad ilui ad rom ma'alot, and he ascends, the soul ascends from one elevation to the next to the very highest of levels. Shavak chaye rucho, he then leaves over the life of his ruach. פעולתו אשר עבד בהשם לפנים בישראל. The deeds in which he has formerly labored with Israel, their faith, fear, and love, which he drew down to them from his ruach. Okay. פעולת צדיק לחיים, the labor of a tzaddik for life. Or less literally, a tzaddik's labor for the living, to provide them with life. At any rate, at the time of his passing, the tzaddik bequeaths the fruit of his lifelong labors. Lekol chai hi nefesh kol chai. To every living being, that is, to the soul of every living being who lives a life of Torah and mitzvot. הקשורה בנפשו בחבלי אבותות, אהבה רבה ואהבת עולם, בל תמות לנצח, who is bound to his soul by the thick ropes of a magnanimous love and an internal love that will not be moved forever. אשר מי האיש החפץ חיים, לדבקה בהשם חיים. For anyone who eagerly desires life and who seeks to cleave to the living God, בעבודתו תדבק נפשו. Through his service, i.e. through the divine service of the tzaddik, his soul will cleave. His soul, like his soul here, referring to the people that cleave to the tzaddik.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So, because I mean, I don't know if he's going to say, but there's the drasha. There's a mitzvah to be davuk to Hashem, right? To cleave to God.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Talmud, it asks, how can we do that? It's by cleaving to tzaddikim.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. והייתה צרורה בצרור החיים את השם. And his soul will be bound up in the bond of life with God. בחיי רוח אפינו, in the life of the ruach of our nostrils. אשר אמרנו בצילו נחיה בגויים, of which we have said, in its protective shadow we shall live among the nations. אשר שבק לנו בכל אחד ואחד. This he left unto us in each and every individual. כפי בחינת התקשרותו באמת, ואהבתו אהבת אמת הטהורה מקרב איש ולב עמוק. Corresponding to the degree of his genuine bond with the tzaddik and his true and pure love of him from the innermost core of man and from the depths of his heart. כי כמים הפנים וכולי. For as in water face answers to face, so is the heart of man to man.
Right. So this is the famous thing where as water reflects the face of a person looking into it, so the heart of a person reflects the emotions.
ורוח הייתי רוח והמשיך רוח. And spirit rouses spirit and it brings forth spirit. ורוחו עומדת בקרבנו ממש. For his ruach remains truly in our midst. כי בראותו ילדיו מעשה ידיו בקרבו יקדישו שמו יתברך. When he sees his children, his disciples who embody the work of his hands, sanctifying God's blessed name. אשר יתגדל ויתקדש, כאשר נלך בדרך ישרה אשר אורנו מדרכיו. For his name is magnified and sanctified when we walk in a straight path, in one of his paths that he has shown us. ונלך באורחותיו נצח סלע ועד, and we will walk in his ways forevermore. וזהו שכתוב בזוהר הקדוש, דצדיקה דהתפטר אשתכח בכולהו על מין יתיר מבחיוי.
So let's just tzadika, tzaddik, deitpatar, who's niftar, ishtakach, he is to be found, v'chulahu almin, in all of the worlds, yatir, more than, mibechayohi, than in his lifetime.
So it says when a tzaddik departs, in the Zohar, that when a tzaddik departs, he is to be found in all the worlds more than during his lifetime. That is, even in this world of action, he is still residing.
Right. If it's all of the worlds, it also has to include this world.
Yeah. Hayom la'asotam, this day to do them. As the Gemara states, today is the time to do them. Tomorrow is the time to receive the rewards. Man's primary task in this world is the actual fulfillment of the commandments, whether receipt of rewards or anything akin to rewards belongs to tomorrow, to the world to come. In any event, even in this world of action. Ishtakach yatir. The departed tzaddik is found more than during his lifetime. Ki hamase gadol, gadel ve'olech gidulei gidulin, because the action of his disciples continues to produce successive generations of offshoots. Min or zro l'tzaddik, basadeh asher b'cho Hashem. From the light implanted by the righteous or for the righteous in the field which God has blessed. Ama'ir la'aretz v'chutzot. This light radiates to the earth and to the outside places. וגם אנחנו אלא פה היום, כולנו חיים בדרכיו. And also to us, those who are here this day, all of us who live in his ways. דרך הקודש יקרא לה. The holy way shall it be called. זאת בעבודת השם במילי דשמיא. The above, regarding the increased presence of the departed tzaddik, relates to the service of God to heavenly matters. ובמילי דעלמא, בפירוש איתמר בזוהר הקדוש, ודצדיקיה מגינין על עלמא ובמיתתיון יתיר מבחייון. As for mundane matters, it is stated explicitly in the sacred Zohar that the tzaddikim shield the world and after their death, even more during their life. Ve'il male tzaloteh tzalotah de tzaddikea bahahu alma lo itkayem alma riga chada. Moreover, were it not for the prayer of the tzaddikim in the other world, this world would not endure a single moment. וכל הקרוב קרוב אל משכן השם בחייו קודם לברכה. And whoever is closer to the habitation of God through being close to the tzaddik during his lifetime has precedence to the blessing. So now we have a biur al niskar la'ayl. It's an elucidation of the above. Okay. Ita בזוהר הקדוש, דצדיקה דהתפטר, ישתכך בכולהו, בכולו עלמין, יתיר מבחיוהי. It is stated in the sacred Zohar that when a tzaddik departs, he is found in all the worlds more than during his lifetime. וצריך להבין, now we need to understand. תיינך בעולמות עליונים, אשתכך יתר בעלותו שמה, אבל בעולם הזה איך ישתכך יתר?
So just to make it a little clear, in Aramaic, the root shakach means to be found. In the root in Hebrew, it means to forget. Mm-hmm. Which can be very confusing, but yeah, that's the Aramaic root. So ishtakach means is found.
Yeah. So granted, he is to be found increasingly in the upper worlds, the tzaddik, when he ascends there. But how is he found more in this world? ויש לומר על דרך מה שקיבלתי על מאמר חכמינו זיכרונם לברכה, לשווק חיים לכל חי. This may be explained along the lines of a teaching which I received concerning the idiom of our sages of Blessed Memory, that the departed tzaddik has left life to all the living. כנודע שחיי הצדיק אינם חיים בשרים, כי אם חיים רוחניים, שהם אמונה ויראה ואהבה. As is known, the life of a tzaddik is not a fleshly life, but a spiritual life, consisting of faith, awe, and love. כי באמונה הכתיב, וצדיק באמונתו יחיה. Thus, of faith, it is written, and a tzaddik lives by his faith. וביראה כתיב, ויראת השם לחיים. Of awe, it is written, the awe of God leads to life. ובאהבה כתיב, עודף צדקה וחסד ימצא חיים. And of love, it is written, he who pursues tzedakah and chesed will find love. וחסד הוא אהבה. And chesed signifies love. ושלושה מידות אלו הם בכל עולם ועולם עד רום המעלות. Now these three attributes, which are chesed, אהבה, אמונה, יראה ואהבה, they are present. These attributes are present in every world up to the highest of levels. הכל לפי ערך בחינת מעלות העולמות, all proportionate to the level of the worlds. זה על זה בדרך עילה ואלול כנודע. Sorry. To answer this, okay?
No problem.
והנה, בהיות הצדיק חי על פני האדמה, היו שלושה מידות אלו, בתוך כלי ולבוש שלהם בבחינת מקום גשמי, שהיא בחינת נפש הקשורה בגופו. Now, while the tzaddik was alive on earth, these three attributes were contained in their vessel and garment on the plane of physical space. This being the aspect of the nefesh which is bound to his body. So these attributes were all inside of his nefesh, right, bound up and constrained. וכל תלמידיו אינם מקבלים רק הערת מידות אלו וזיוון. During his lifetime, his disciples all receive only a reflection of these attributes and a ray from them. המאיר חוץ לכלי הזה על ידי דיבוריו ומחשבותיו הקדושים. They get the ray that radiates beyond this vessel by means of his holy utterances and thoughts. ולכן אמרו רבותינו זיכרונם לברכה שאין אדם עומד על דעת רבו וכולי. That is why our sages of blessed memory said that one cannot plumb the depth of his master's teaching until the passage of 40 years. אבל לאחר פטירתו, לפי שמתפרדים בחינת הנפש שנשארה בקבר מבחינת הרוח שבגן עדן, שאין שלוש מידות הללו. But after the tzaddik's passing, since the nefesh, which remains in the grave, is separated from the ruach, which comprises these three attributes, and after his passing is in the Garden of Eden. Mm-hmm. So he's still, just for clarification here, is still considered the nefesh is bound up with the body and it remains part of the body?
Yes, the nefesh remains with the body.
Okay. לפיכך, יכול כל הקרוב אליו לקבל חלק ממכינת רוחו שבגן עדן. Whoever is close to him can receive a part of his ruach, which is in the Garden of Eden. i.e., an actual part of the very essence of these three attributes, as opposed to the mere reflection of them. הואיל ואינה בתוך כלי ולא בבחינת מקום גשמי. הואיל, okay, because the ruach of the tzaddik is now not within a vessel, nor on the plane of the physical space. But in the Garden of Eden, which will now be explained, is to be found within the world as well, this one as well. כנודע מאמר רבותינו זיכרונם לברכה על יעקב אבינו עליו השלום, שנכנס עמו גן עדן. Right, on Esav it says the other way. Mm-hmm. For as is known, our sages of blessed memory said of our father Jacob, peace be to him, that the Garden of Eden entered with him when he came to be blessed by Isaac. וכן כתב בספר 10 מאמרות, שאוויר גן עדן מתפשט סביב כל אדם. Likewise, it is stated in 10 מאמרות, which is a book.
Yeah, I don't know much about it.
Yeah. It is stated there that the atmosphere of the Garden of Eden envelops every individual. Mm-hmm. I wonder what that means. Every individual?
Yeah.
ונרשמים באוויר זה כל מחשבותיו ודיבוריו הטובים בתורה ועבודת השם. And in this atmosphere are recorded all his good thoughts and utterances of Torah and divine worship. וכן להפך חס ושלום נרשמים באוויר המתפשט מגיהנום סביב כל אדם. And likewise, to the contrary, heaven forfend. Negative thoughts and utterances are recorded in the atmosphere from Gehenom. Loosely translating to hell, which envelops every individual when he engages in them.
Yeah.
אי לכך, נקל מאוד לתלמידיו, לקבל חלקם מבחינת רוח רבם עצמית, שהם אמונתו ויראתו ואהבתו אשר עבד בהם את השם. It is therefore very easy for his disciples to receive their part of the essential aspects of their master's ruach, i.e. his awe and his love with which he served God with. ולא זיוון בלבד המאיר חוץ לכלי. And not merely a glimmer thereof which radiates beyond the vessel when he was alive. לפי שבחינת רוחו העצמית מתעלה בעילוי אחר עילוי. For the essential aspect of his ruach is raised elevation beyond elevation. להיכלל בבחינת נשמתו שבגן עדן העליון שבעולמות העליונים. to become absorbed in his neshama, which is in the higher Garden of Eden, in the supreme worlds. ונודע שכל דבר שבקדושה אינו נעקר לגמרי מכל וכל ממקומו ומדרגתו הראשונה, גם לאחר שנתעלה למעלה. Now it is known that no holy entity is ever totally and utterly uprooted from its original place and level, even after it has reached the highest point.
Yeah, so there's always that inherent inequality between good and evil. Good is something that lasts and stays and is true and is forever, whereas evil is always temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have its true grounding in the being in the ground of all being, which is God.
Interesting. Okay. ומבחינה זו הראשונה שנשארה למטה בגן עדן התחתון במקומו ומדרגתו הראשונה.
מדרגתו.
ממדרגתו הראשונה. Thus, it is this original aspect deriving from the ruach of the tzaddik remaining below in the lower Garden of Eden in its original place and level. היא המתפשטת בתלמידיו. This is what extends itself among his disciples. כל אחד כפי בחינת התקשרותו וקרבתו אליו בחייו ובמותו באהבה רבה. Each one according to the level of his bond and closeness to the tzaddik during his lifetime and after his passing out of an abounding love. כי המשכת כל רוחניות אינה אלא על ידי אהבה רבה. For anything spiritual is elicited only by means of an abounding love. כמו שכתוב בזוהר הקדוש, דרוח דיראותא דליבה המשיך רוח מלעילה. Thus it is stated in the sacred Zohar that the spirit, the ruach, of the inner heart's desire elicits a spirit from above. So too, the disciple's heartfelt love for his master draws down these three attributes. רק אם יכוון לקראת אלוהיו בהכנה רבה ויגיעה עצומה. But sorry?
רק אם ייכון לקראת אלוקיו.
ייכון, okay, לא יכוון, ייכון, like prepare, okay.
Yeah.
ייכון, יתכונן, okay. But only if he will prepare himself towards his God with a great preparation and intense effort. לקבל שלוש מידות הללו כדרך שהורהו רבו וכמאמר רבותינו זיכרונם לברכה יגעת ומצאת תאמין. So that he will receive these attributes in the way that his master taught him. To paraphrase the words of our sages of blessed memory, if you have labored and claimed to have found, believe it. Interesting, they put claim to have found in print and yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing is if somebody says I labored but I have not found, don't believe him, right? Like it's not something that you're it's a question of do you believe the other person, not something you can verify yourself. It's a claim, it's not evidence.
Oh, okay. Okay. והנה, יש עוד בחינת הערה לתלמידיו. Now there is another kind of illumination from the tzaddik to his disciples. רק שאינה מתלבשת בתוך מוחם ממש כראשונה. However, it does not vest itself truly in their minds, as is the case with the first kind of illumination. Why does it say 41, the footnote, in their minds?
Note by the Rebbe. For what binds a student with his master is the intellect with which he meditates upon his master's teachings, intellect, and understanding.
Right, so he meditates on his Rebbe's love and awe, and right, because those are okay, interesting. Rak, this radiance or this illumination, rak meira alehem milemala. It radiates over them from above. והיא מעליית רוחו ונשמתו למקור חוצבו. It stems from the ascent of the tzaddik's ruach and neshama to the source from which it was hewn. דיינו, לחקל תפוחין קדישין. That is to חקל תפוחין קדישין, the orchard of the holy apples. ספירה ומלכות in the word of אצילות. ועל ידי זה נעשה שם ייחוד. This ascent affects a union there. על ידי העלת מים נוקבין מכל מעשיו ותורתו ועבודתו אשר עבד כל ימי חייו, by means of the elevation of the מים נוקבין, the feminine waters, constituted by all of the tzaddik's action, his Torah and divine service in which he engaged all the days of his life. ונזרעו בחקל תפוחין קדישים אורות עליונים מאוד. And in the חקל תפוחין קדישים, the source are implanted exceedingly sublime lights. לעומת תחתונים אשר הם תורתו ועבודתו. Corresponding to and resulting from the nether illuminations, which are the tzaddik's teachings and worship. Corresponding to the nether illuminations, which are tzaddik teachings and worship. His divine service thus implants lofty illuminations above, which are revealed and descend below at the time of his passing. והארת אורות עליונים אלו מאירה על כל תלמידיו שנעשו עובדי השם על ידי תורתו ועבודתו. The illumination of these supernal lights radiates over all his disciples who became servants of God through his teachings and worship. והארה זו שעליהם מלמעלה מכנסת בליבם הרהורי תשובה ומעשים טובים. And this illumination which radiates over them from above instills in their hearts thoughts of repentance and good deeds. וכל המעשים הטובים הנולדים מההארה הזו שמאירה מאורות הזרועים בשדה הנזכר לעיל נקרא גידולי גידולים. All the good deeds born of this illumination which radiates from the lights implanted in the above mentioned orchard are called successive generations of offshoots.
Correct.
ההערה הזו היא בהלם והסתר גדול כמו שמש המאיר לכוכבים מתחת לארץ. This radiance is greatly hidden and concealed, just like the sun radiating to the stars from below the earth.
Yeah, at the time it was believed that the stars reflect light from the sun.
I was just talking, is that connected maybe to like ממשלת הכוכבים בלילה? I just talking to somebody about that. Okay. כדאית בתיקונים על משה רבנו עליו השלום. Thus it is stated in the Zohar in reference to Moses, our master, peace be unto him. שאחר פטירתו מתפשטת הערתו בכל דרה ודרה.
Each generation, door by door.
That after his passing, his radiance extends in every generation to the 600,000 souls. Like the sun, which radiates to the 600,000 stars from below the earth.
Yep. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah. That letter is slightly controversial because there are people who, based on that, will say silly things about the Rebbe, like he's with us more than when he was alive, etc., 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 not understanding that they are being silly.
Mm-hmm. Right. But okay, so what's the difference? So I mean, he was talking about two illuminations, right? So the first illumination happens and it reflects, well, initially reflects the three attributes that the Rebbe.
Right, that's in spiritual matters, right? In spiritual matters, obviously his soul has its hitpashtut, right?
Yeah.
And you would think, okay, that makes sense. But regarding physical matters, how could he be found in the world more than before? And he says that this is in a manner of reflection, like at night, that if you imagine that the stars are reflecting the light from the sun beneath the earth,
Mm-hmm.
right? In a similar manner, there's a reflection of, certainly with the moon, that's true. There's a reflection of the spiritual and the a reflection of his soul as his students affect the world, which
Mm-hmm.
also affects us. So even in physical matters, that tzaddik is to be found here even more than he was during his life. And frankly, I mean, when you look at, for example, Chabad is so much larger today than it was when the Rebbe passed away
Right.
30 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are all these Chabad houses all over the place, right? All of which are very much a result of his guidance. So we see Bepoel that the Rebbe is found in this world, right? More after his passing than even when he was alive. Now, only an idiot would misunderstand that and imagine that somehow that is the equivalent of having atzmut mahut melubash beguf, having someone who is a um, living testament to godliness
Mm-hmm.
among us.
Yeah.
Got it?
Okay, I can do this one as well.
I can do it.
Sure.
If I lose my voice, I lose my voice. And I'll
No,
make you read
I mean,
the
no, I can replace you. If you start barking at me, I'll know to replace
you. Okay. Ma shekatav lemechutano, what he wrote to his mechutan, usually his father-in-law, but here I guess it's a relative by marriage. Harav hagaon hamafursam ish Elokim kadosh Israel ner Israel amud hayamani Patish HaChazak Morenu V'Rabbeinu Harav Levi Yitzchak Nishmato Eden Av Beit Din the Kehilat Kodesh Berdichev. Right?
Oh yeah,
So,
I got.
you got a Kedushat Levi?
Yeah, the first one about the sheep.
Aha. Okay, now I have to tell the story of the Berdichever.
Okay.
So, famous story.
Yeah, I love his stories. So
You've probably heard me say it before, but the Berdichever, the Alter Rebbe, and Reb Baruch of Medishbush were walking down a road in the morning, and they see a Jew who's wearing his talit and tefillin, and he's shoveling muck in the stables. Right now, Reb Baruch of Medishbush was famous for being a very stern and wealthy person. And he got very, very angry. And he said, if I were God, I would strike the man down where he is so he would understand that one should not say his prayers and shovel muck and disgrace his talit and tefillin. And the Kedushat Levi, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, was referred to often by the name of one of his books, Ohev Israel, he who loves Israel. And he became very sad. And he said, if I were God, I would make this man fabulously wealthy. And he would never need to shovel muck when he would rather be saying his prayers in a synagogue with a minyan like he should. And the Alter Rebbe, who was the youngest of the students, spoke last. And he said, if I were God, the world would be exactly as it is.
I also heard it in another way.
Yeah.
That the Breditchever Rebbe?
Berditchever.
Yeah. They see this person, or he sees this person that's this carriage driver in the muck. Maybe it's a different story, but it sounded like similar. But in the muck, and with all dirty, and he has a siddur, and he's opening the siddur, and the siddur is all full of whatever.
Yeah.
And he sees him doing it there, and like there's the other guy that is like how filthy this person is, and he doesn't respect the name of God. He puts it in all the dirt, and the Berditchever Rebbe looks at the sky and says, God looks at how beautiful your people, that even when they are in the most mundane of things, even in the muck, they still proclaim your name.
Yeah.
Right? So it's also an interesting. I like that. I like that story as well.
Yeah. he was a good guy. Stories of the Berditchever. It's so one of the reasons there's no Berditchever Hasidim is because Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, I believe, was either a Cohen or a Levi. Although somebody recently showed me that I was wrong, but I forgot. Anyway, maybe one of these days I'll actually know what I'm talking about. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe is writing a letter to this great and holy tzaddik, the Berditchever. ללחמו על פטירת בנו הרב החסיד מורנו ורבנו הרב מאיר נשמתו עדן. Lo aleinu, no man should have to bury his son, but the Berditchever had to bury his son Meir. Lama nismacha parshat Miriam la parshat para. So there is a question in I thought this is from the Gemara. Yeah. So the Talmud often asks, why is one thing in the Torah taught next to another thing in the Torah? And here it's asking, why was the passing of Miriam next to the whole thing of the red heifer, para aduma? Lamar lacha ma kapara mechaperet v'chulu. That is to teach you that just as a heifer affects atonement, so does the passing of the righteous.
Right.
This is in Moed Katan 28a. V'tzarech lahav, and we need to understand this. Lama nismecha davka para aduma. So if you're going to tell me that there is atonement affected by bringing sacrifices, right? Then why this particular one? Lama nismecha davka lepara aduma. Why particularly the red heifer? Hanasa chutz l'shalosh machonot, which was prepared outside the three camps. Eila dechatat karye rahmana. B'ketav yad hanuscha hanasa b'chutz min tevat l'shalosh at tevat rachmana leta b'chtav yad. So there's a question. The actual original letter that he wrote doesn't have this part, right? Anyway, but in the Torah it's called a sin offering. It's called a chatat. V'lo nismecha leparshat chatat hanasa bifnim al gabei hamizbeach kapara mamash. Right? So there's the sin offering itself, which isn't done outside the camp. It's done on the altar. Amnam noda mezohar hakadosh v'ha'arizal sod hakorbanot shal gabei hamizbeach. So what people who know the Zohar and the Arizal would know is that there's a particular mystical principle of the sacrifices offered on the altar. Hen bechinat ha'alat mayin nukvin min nefesh habahamit shebenoga. So when you bring a sacrifice on the altar, you are elevating the feminine waters that have fallen into the shining husk in the animal soul. El Shorshanu Makoran, back to their original source. Hen bechinat arba chayot shebemarkava hanosot et hakiseh. Right, so there's the Ezekiel's chariot is drawn by these seraphim who have 4 faces, right? And that is where the Nefesh HaBahamit comes from. Pnei Shor u'Pnei Nesher, there's the face of the ox, the face of the eagle, and so on. ועל ידי זה נמשכים ויורדים מים דוכרין בבחינת אדם שעל הכיסא הנקרא בשם מלכה וזר אנפין. And through the elevation of the feminine waters, there's a resulting reciprocating arousal and descent from Adam, the man upon the throne itself that is being carried, down into who's also referred to down into Malchut, actually. Yeah. That's what it says in the thing. Down to Malchut. Achen b'srifat hapara aduma hine al yedei hashlachat etz erez ve'ezov. As for the burning of the red heifer, however, it is on account of the throwing in of the cedar wood and the hyssop, and so on. The function of both of which is hamshacha, drawing down sanctity from above. That's a very different thing. Unetinat mayim chayim el ha'efer, right? There's water mixed in with these ashes. Nikra b'shem kiddush mei chatat b'mishnah. That in the Mishnah, this is called sanctification of the purifying waters.
So creating the ashes of Tpaduma and making that into like a splashing thing.
Yeah, something that gets yeah. Vehi bechinat kodesh ha'elyon hanikra b'shem tala de bedulcha. This relates not only etymologically to kodesh ha'elyon, right? Because it says kiddush, right? Referred to as tala de bedulcha, literally the dew of bdellium. the Torah's description of the manna.
I
Okay.
wonder if bdellium is like a bdolach. Bdolach is, you know what bdolach is?
I do not know what bedolach
Is I'll give you a Lord of the Rings reference. Is like the thing that I think Sauron has. I know the movies too.
is.
The thing that he like looks through. You know that whatever that's called, the thing that you can look through and
Oh,
see
right. Yeah.
other places.
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but yes, I know what you're
So in
saying.
Hebrew, in modern Hebrew at least, it's kadur b'dolach.
Uh-huh. Yeah, apparently bdellium is a fragrant resin produced by a number of trees related to myrrh.
Yeah, so I mean, so I guess the manna looked like that. It makes sense because it also looked like a seed. Yeah,
I wouldn't know, I wasn't there. Um,
weren't they? You sure?
I don't remember being there. כמו שכתוב בזוהר הקדוש שהיא בחינת חוכמה עילאה ומוחה סתימאה דארך אנפין. And as stated in the Zohar, this is an expression of the supreme chokhmah and the hidden intellect of Erech Anpin.
By the way, Jan got wants us to Fabrengen as we're saying these things.
Maybe if I wasn't so sick and tired.
No, it's,
Okay.
sorry.
Where were
You want
we?
me to continue or are you good?
No, I'm good. It is the level of chokhmah within Keter which entirely transcends the world. The Allah itmar beduchte tuva, bezohar kadosh, bechokhmah itberiru. And regarding this, it's written in many places in the Holy Zohar that through chokhmah they are refined and rectified. Ve'ithafchad chashucha lenahora, right? So darkness is turned into light. The hainu olam hatikun, that is talking about the worlds of rectification. Shenitbarer nittaken al yedei mocha stima the arch anpin, which becomes refined and rectified by means of this hidden intellect of arch anpin. Me'olam hatohu ushvirat hakelim shenaflu bebriya yetzira asiya kanoda, right? From the world of tikkun is refined and rectified from the world of tohu, right? And the breaking of the vessels as they fell into Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya.
Yeah.
The worlds of creation, formation, and action. Velazot metaheret tumat hamet. And in this manner, it's able to purify from the defilement of a corpse. Af shehu avi avot v'chulu, even though it is the very essence of the ultimate father of, you could say, of Tuma. Ulamata mata minoga, and far, far lower than the shining husk. Vehine mudad zot, the Abba yonek mimazal hashmini. Now it is known that Abba, that is referring to Chokhmah, draws its sustenance from the eighth mazal, i.e., the eighth in the Torah's enumeration of the 13 attributes of divine mercy, which correspond to the 13 tufts of the celestial beard, the individual hairs of which are conduits for the emanation of a tenuous flow of life force.
So what's the eighth?
I am guessing. Well, yeah, he says, "Hu tikun notzer chesed." Notzer chesed is the eighth, right?
Afim.
Notzer otiot ratzon, right? Notzer has the same letters as ratzon, divine favor. והיא את רצון המתגלה ומאיר בבחינת גילוי מלמעלה למטה בעת פטירת צדיקי עליון. And this refers to the et ratzon, the time of divine favor that becomes revealed and radiates in a manifest way from above downward at the time of the passing of tzaddikim of stature. Ovdei Hashem ba'ava, those who serve God with love, b'mesirat nafsham la'Hashem, by sacrificing of their lives for God, v'chayehem arvit v'shachrit b'kriyat Shema. At the very least, every morning and every night when they say Kriyat Shema, they in a sense sacrifice their lives in that they would be willing to die. Shal yedei zeh hayu malin main nukvin la'aba ve'ima b'kriyat Shema kayadua. And those who know, which wouldn't be me, apparently know that through this, the feminine waters are brought up all the way into Abba ve'ima, which are the two sfirot of Chokhmah and Bina. V'chen b'Talmud Torah, the Chokhmah nafka, and similar things apply when they study Torah, which comes from Chokhmah. V'al yedei zeh hayu nimshachim v'yordim b'chinat mayin duchrin metikun v'notzer chesed. And through this, they elicit the descent of the waters, the masculine waters, from that particular place, which is Notzer Chesed, which is that eighth mazal he talked about. Vehem hem hameirim bebechinat gilui bepetiratam. And that is what becomes manifest. The fact that they were willing to die becomes manifest when they do die. Kanoda shekol amal ha'adam she'amla nafsho b'chayav lamala bebechinat helem v'hester. For as is known, all the effort of man in which his soul toiled during his lifetime in a hidden and obscured state, mitgale u'me'ir bebechinat gilui milamala lamata be'et petirato. It is revealed and radiates in a manifest way from above downward at the time of his passing. Vehine al yedei gilui ha'arat tikun v'notzer chesed bepitiratan, right? Through this radiance of the tikun of notzer chesed when they pass, me'ir chesed Hashem me'olam ad olam al yira'av. So chesed radiates from world to world over those who fear him. U'po'el yeshuot bekerev haaretz, and it affects salvation in the midst of the land. Lechaper al avon hador, to atone for the sins of the generation. Af gam al hazdonot, shehem shlosh klipot hatameot shalamata noga. And this is able to also work in those deliberate sins which come from a far worse place than the shining husk, but the three impure husks. Lefi shemazal denotzer memocha stima, the arch anpin mekor haberurim.
Wait, so
yeah,
chesed is able to
notzer chesed, because it is ratzon. Ratzon comes from Keter, or at least here we're talking about the Chokhmah in Keter.
Yeah.
Right? Because of that, it is able to bring forth a kapara from even from the Gimel Klipot Temeot.
Okay.
Got it? Mekor Haberim, and that is the very source of berurim, with clarification. והתהפכה חשוכה לשבירת הכלים לנהורה דעולם התיקון. Right? In this manner, darkness is turned into light. מה שאין כן בקורבנות שעל גבי המזבח, right? Which is completely different than what we discussed regarding the normal manner of atonement of the korbanot on the mizbech. שאינם מכפרים אלא על השגגות, right? They're only for inadvertent sins. שהם מהתגברות נפש הבהמית שמנוגה.
Right.
Which come about because of the strengthening of the animal soul from the shining husk. כמו שכתוב בליקוטי תורה פרשת ויקרא, as is stated in Likutei Torah of the Arizal in Parshat Vayikra. ולכן נסמכה לפרשת para davka. That's why it's not just any korban chatat, but this particular one. Ma para v'chulu, just as the heifer affects atonement, so does the passing of the righteous. B'yalkut Parshat Shmini Hagirsa Me Chatat. The Yalkut, Parshat Shmini, for the heifer reads the waters of purification. This is more in keeping with the explanation provided above for the red heifer.
Oh boy.
Atonement and its impact on the three impure klipot is not a result of burning the heifer, right? But rather the purifying waters.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Mm-hmm. I have a question.
I have an answer.
What about this? I don't know if we want to continue to a third one, or do we want to?
Well, if we do a third one, you're going to have to read.
Yeah. We can call it maybe. Call it a day. 2-2. I have a question though.
I have an answer though.
Okay. So I had a discussion. I was learning Tanya. I can't remember the context specifically, but kind of an interesting question was raised in terms of what is the difference between chesed and rachamim. And I feel like I remember we spoke about this.
Rachamim refers to tiferet, not chesed.
Right, rachamim is tiferet, right? So so one thing that was said there is that let's say you get the judgment, you go to the court and you get, well, we understand what justice needs to be, but sometimes we need to. But tiferet is the compromise, is the actual verdict that is given.
It's the synthesis of, right? So it's in a sense dialectical. You have the thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis, right? So you have chesed and gvura tiferet, right? Chesed is pure kindness, meaning that you give someone something that they don't deserve at all.
Chesed, right? Okay.
Right, and so let's say you see somebody who's a beggar, mm-hmm. right? Chesed would be chesed. We are not opposed to all threes in the world. The number 3 is actually just as important as the number 2 and 4, which we also have no problems with. But so if you have a beggar, so chesed would be you give him that which he needs, despite the fact that he doesn't deserve it, mm-hmm. right? Gevura would be you give him only that which he earns himself, right? So if you have a job, you would give him, allow him to do his job and earn, right? But what is tiferet, what is beauty, what is rachamim, is that you give him a job so that he can earn it.
Mm-hmm. You give him a job so that you can earn it. Okay. Okay, I see. And because sometimes we refer to God with the name of Chesed. Or do we say?
I mean, we also
we do say El Malei Rachamim, or
each one of the Sfirot, in a sense, reflects an aspect of God by which God can be called.
Right.
But generally, we often refer to God for exactly by those things, those Sfirot, which are particularly in the middle pillar, like Rachamana.
Got it?
I got it. Did you get it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was said there. That's no. Okay. That's all I had. I was just curious about that.
Well, it was nice meeting you.
You too.
I am going to end this stream.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.